because, of course, there is a mini set coming. It means I have to review all of the cards. As is tradition, not all of them are out, but it is launching literally tomorrow, so it's mostly out. We should be able to get almost all of them for today. I believe they even have the schedule, which we can show. Maybe I'll review the rest tomorrow. Nope, they actually have just done them all. Okay. We are good. This is it. Incredible. Then I guess we're reviewing all the cards today. I thought there was at least one more wave, but I guess not. The set itself looks like it is at least reasonably interesting. I don't think it's like a must-have for any particular class, which I think is for the best, because when a crazy card comes out and it's locked behind either wall of 1,600 gold or 2,000 gold, it becomes a little bit annoying for like the casual audience. So I think it's good to have the mini set be like lower power level than generally. Just more like flavor adding for a bunch of different classes as they need to. Anyway, first card is the headpiece of the entire mini expansion. It is, I'm going to not pronounce this correctly because I've never played WoW. The Razen? Don't know. It's a 7 mana, 7/5 taunt. Death Rattle, double the stats of all elementals in your hand and deck. So, the strict elemental limitation is weird to me because, yes, like you do get the benefit of buffing your hand, sure, but there's a 7 mana 7/7 as a battle cry of oh my god, I just ate pretzels before this, I'm coughing. Has a battle cry of giving everything in your deck double the stats, which is, I think, just better, unless you design your deck around elementals. But even then, still probably better than giving just your elementals in your hand and deck, because Death Rattles inherently are easier to play around because you just play the battle cry minion, whereas the Death Rattle can get silenced, can get stolen, and many other different things. With it being 7 mana, there's a pretty real chance that your opponent plays something like Yogg-Saron, takes the Risen, and then you're like, wow, this card did nothing except get the steal effect from Yogg-Saron, which I don't think is very good. So I don't think this sees like any play at all. Except for memes, which maybe will for me. Deep Miner Ran, Warrior, 6 mana, 2/4 legendary. If your deck has no duplicates, your battle cries trigger twice for the rest of the game. So I always say this is very, very good, because having a Bran just existing generally is super overpowered, and your opponent can't kill it, so they have to deal with double battle cries for the rest of the game. We all know how good the Shaman quest was when they had even just a 2 mana button to double their battle cry. That was good enough to justify an entire deck to be built around it. So I think this is very, very easily capable of making an entire deck. I don't know if it's necessarily better or necessary compared to the existing Control Warrior lists, but it will at least be a deck. It will be very hard for this not to make a deck. We have the other 2 Warrior and Demon Hunter cards. Crimson Expanse. Choose a damage minion, summon a copy of it that goes dormant for 1 turn. I think it's basically just like Conditional Faceless, but it's slower. If the minion was like a really crazy passive effect, I think it would be kind of interesting if you were to like keep rolling on it. Like, you know, like all of your enemy minions have like -2 stats or something like that. I don't think anything that is like a Death Rattle is really going to work out unless you like have your own means of killing it, and obviously battle cry does not work. Big stat minion is pretty good because you just get a 8/8 for only 4 mana, and then maybe sometimes you get an 8/8 for no mana, which is incredible. But you would definitely want to copy something valuable with this, and you don't really just want to like tempo this out, I feel, because the condition of having a damage minion, unless you are warrior, of the two, warrior. It's warrior and demon hunter. Um, Warrior, it's probably easier, but for Demon Hunter, it's incredibly hard to damage your own minions because they are generally on the small side, or they are, if they're big, you don't have any like self damage effects. They're gonna have to do some kind of combat live and then make it to the next turn to get copied. So I feel like this is like a warrior only card, really. But maybe there will be a way to damage your own guy via, the finale rush thing, where you play a Naga, you clone it, and then you get your Naga off turn a second turn in a row, something like that. I don't really foresee this going too much in Demon Hunter, other than those kind of contexts where you copy some kind of combo piece that is meant to be used once over the turn. It does probably fit inside that deck, but the problem is that one, you either do the finale and that you have to have the 1/3 survive combat. It's dependent on your opponent's strategy, or you use the Naga 2 damage thing and hit your own Naga to then clone it for the next turn after that, which I think would probably be fine. I would only really want to run one of these for that specific use case, though. Burning Heart. Deal 2 damage to a minion. If it survives, give you her a +3 attack this turn. I think this is actually probably more interesting for Demon Hunter than it is for Warrior. It's the other way around, because Warrior at the moment does not have a huge push on super aggressive deck. And the additional attack, you just run the armor variant for that. You make your own armor just with the hero power, and your cards in your deck giving you like +8 armor, it's +8 attack. This is wildly inefficient compared to that type of deck. So in Demon Hunter specifically, it's just +3 damage. And +3 damage in a damage-centric deck like Naga is actually pretty reasonable. So I could see it fitting in that. Even just like Aggro Demon Hunter could probably use that. We have Marut Stonebinder. 7 mana, 5/6. If your deck has no duplicates, discover an elemental to summon, add the others to your hand. It's like, if you remember the Cthulhu taunt thing, it's like a little bit better than that, outside of the fact that you don't get the taunt every time. And there are obviously some high rolls where you get, if this is going to get a random elemental, sometimes you get your 7/5 taunt, death rattle, double all the stats of all the elementals in your deck. But I think most of the time, if you're running a singleton deck, you probably aren't even running an elemental deck. You're just probably playing this for the sake of stats and threat level. So I don't think it's really much better than a value card, but it's a pretty good value card, so maybe throw it in there. Neutrals. We have Iridescent Gyreworm. 3 mana, 4/3 death rattle. Give each of your minions a random bonus effect. I think death rattle's okay at 3 mana. It's not as costly if it doesnn't go off, and it's still pretty reasonably statted as a 4/3 for free. And it's elemental, which is nice. Giving each of our minions a random bonus effect, since it is, I assume, in kind of the realm of Adapt, although it does not say. Does it say in the... Have they described what it is? No. Bonus effect, I assume, is like give it taunt, give it lifesteal, give it divine shield, that kind of stuff. You'd really want to hit just like one other minion for it to be fair. 2 other minions makes it quite good, and 3 other minions is very, very good. But I think that's incredibly optimistic. I think you strictly run this just because it has elemental tag, and your deck needs elementals. Other elementals kind of suck. Might honestly fit the grid because of that. Because at least from what I remember, and we're gonna break immersion for a little bit since it's time. I am pretty sure 3 mana elementals suck. Pretty sure. So no, that's good. So mage is fine. Not that mage elemental is really going to be a thing with this set anyway. This is good, but it requires a weird condition, and the minecart's pretty good already. so I don't think you'd switch this out for minecart. Probably still run both of these and the other elemental guy. Elemental warrior is not a thing. And then we also have, as alternative options, you could run Reef Walker, which might honestly just be better. Just as a 3-2 deal 1 damage with a 1-1 inside it. Sometimes you get a synergy with piranhas if you somehow have that. But, you know, whatever. Or you could play Eroded Sediment, and instead of getting a random bonus effect, generally just get an extra discover, which honestly could still be better than a random bonus effect most of the time. So I'm thinking you probably don't really run it, but the option is there if, like with Eroded Sediment, it is a bit slow still. So if you're like concerned with tempo, I could see you doing Iridescent Gyre Worm instead. But it is still a little inconsistent. Shale Spider. If you play an elemental last turn, draw a card. Obviously run this in an elemental deck. It just works. It's a 2-mana 3-2 with draw a card on it. You have no reason to not run it. Stone Drake. Divine Shield, Taunt, Death Rattle. Can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. Divine Shield, Taunt... Divine Shield, Taunt, Lifesteal. Can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. 2/8 Dragon Elemental. For 6. If you hand buff it like twice, it's very good. Otherwise, not so good. Because with 6 mana, you really want to have 3 attack. Because you want to be able to kill things that are around 3 health most of the time. If this can't even trade evenly with that, then you're going to find that it heals you a bunch and stalls for a turn, but then just dies, which is not great. With +1 attack, it probably heals you a bunch, kills some stuff, and then dies, which is far better. So, hand buff decks, maybe. Paladin, I could see. Not sure really anywhere else. I don't think there are any hand buffs or elementals outside of the one that was printed earlier. And if there are other ones that are for hand buffs, I think they're all in Paladin. So I don't think it goes anywhere else. But good in Paladin. Demon Hunter and Rogue. We have Fell Fisher for Demon Hunter. Deal 2 damage to all minions at the start of your next turn. Deal 2 damage to all minions again. Delayed AoE is kind of nice. There already exists a delayed AoE. Did see some fringe play. Mainly in like the relic kind of control-y decks. So probably sees play in those similar types of circumstances. Probably not anywhere else. It's good though. Shadestone Skulker. Rush, Battlecry. Take your weapon and gain its stats. Death Rattle, give it back. 1/1/1. Alright, we gotta go back into the list. Rogue just has a weapon, but 1/2 in stats is not going to really work. Weapon. Alright, we are Demon Hunter. Our weapons are Glaivetar, which is very good. But not much more than that. Dredge is okay. You could probably do that. And then in Rogue, we have Record Scratcher and Swordfish, I guess. Are there any weapon equipping things inside here? Oh, I guess there is the Eternal Flame. That is a card. You could probably justify it in specifically a Forge deck that runs just that one card. I think you would only really be able to do that in Demon Hunter, though. I don't think Forge Rogue is ever a thing. New cards, yes, hello. They are coming out tomorrow. There are not super many of them because it is a mini set, but I am still going through them all. How are you? I was talking about this one. This one that gains your weapon stats, and I just remembered that there was the Forge card that gives you a big weapon, so it does work with that. You're tired? Yeah, it's near the end of the day. I'm a little tired too. But I will make it through. Not too many cards to review, and Hearthstone is not like the most mind-intensive game, at least for me. I've played it for so long that I don't really need to think about most things that I'm doing. Quick pick. This is also for both. After your hero attacks, draw a card. I think you just play that in any deck that needs card draw. It's just good. We had a long day. Everyone was not well this morning. Busy with the stream and other stuff. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like a busy day just generally. Because what would it be like? You had to rush to the stream or rush away from the stream and take care of the cat. Then go to dinner after that. Now you're here. Yeah, that sounds about right. Very rushed. Well, I'm glad at least it worked out okay. Rogue Priest. What do we got in Rogue Priest World? This is Rogue. Fool's Gold. Get a random golden pirate elemental from other classes. It's just another get from another class card. Be about as good as all the other ones. Elemental is just so unbelievably random, and pirate from another class. That's pretty specific. What pirates are there in other classes right now? Pirate. So it isn't a rogue pirate. What else? We have Plagiarizer, which is a rogue pirate. And, okay, so it is literally just warrior. You always get a warrior pirate, right? There's no one else? Yeah. You get a warrior pirate, and it is either going to be one of these. One of these four. Which is good, bad, okay, and bad. So, card's bad. Card's just bad. Very bad. But they are golden. So if you want to be pretty, it's good. Shadow Word Steel. 5 mana, shadow spell for priest and rogue. Return an enemy minion to your hand. Yeah, it's a 2k one. I didn't save that much for this one either. It may even be that I could just craft these if there's nothing particularly interesting. The legendaries have... Well, the warrior one was pretty good. Maybe I'll save up for it anyway. No Yogg in it? Yeah, Yogg was the last one. We won't be getting that one again for a while. It was a big ol' elemental. Nothing Yogg related there. I feel like 5 mana take an opponent's minion, but then you have to play the mana for it. It's like the slowest steel card that you could possibly think of. So you better be getting something real good. Which means it has to be for a deck that can either contend with going into the late game, or a deck that is thinking about making it to the late game, aka not aggro. So it's not going an aggro priest, but I think control priest, you know, they have plenty of cards like that, so they could run it. Control rogue, there's only really the treasure rogue, and treasure rogue running this seems weird, but I guess if you run tests, it's not the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So maybe test rogue runs this. Outside of that, I don't know. Hidden gem, rogue priest again. Stealth, at the end of your turn, restore 2 health to all friendly characters. You can keep it stealth forever. So you just heal 2 HP until your opponent deals with it. Sometimes you value trade. Seems good. I'd probably run it in any deck that's like a mid-range to a control. Just kind of annoying. It's better at least than the priest location, since you get the 2 heal, and you can threaten more than just 1 3 heal. You can more than just 2 other 3 heals. You could get a infinite 2 heals. But if you just want consistency, you do the priest location instead. In rogue, I mean, at least in rogue you get the health, which is kind of nice for control rogue. Doesn't really have a way to do that. What else we got? What else we got? We've got priest and druid. Okay. Priests only. Forgeable, glowstone, gyreworm. Okay. 4 mana 4/4 lifesteal, quick draw, deal 5 damage. Forge, change quick draw to battle cry. Okay. 4 mana 4/4 deal 5 damage, heal 5 is really good. 5 is generally going to overkill a lot of the time, but as long as you heal for it, it's probably still worth it in Priest. And Priest does like forging stuff, so I could definitely see this being played just because it's a forge card, it's good, and it enables your late game weapon. All good things. Yeah, you'd run it. Shattered Reflections, Druid and Priest. Choose a minion, add a copy of it to your hand, deck, and battlefield. Ugh. Well, I sure hope there's no way to reduce this to 0 mana, because if there is, it's going to be a super problematic card that makes a lot of issues in the late game when they combo it together with some late game threat that should not be duplicated, and then they duplicate it a whole lot of times. I'm specifically thinking of, in at least the Priest case, if you discount this by 2 mana, which you can very well do because you have the Priest legendary spell to reduce spells by 2 mana, you can play your Titan, and then you play this, and then you manage to get 4 additional copies of your Titan, which seems like a very overkill value thing, but also incredibly powerful for the sake of value. You're back. Welcome back. You didn't miss too much. Just 2 cards so far that we're talking about. Gaia Worm is just an obvious, like, it heals, it deals damage, is good. I was talking about Shattered Reflections, and the implications of being able to copy something 3 times is a whole lot of value and a whole lot of combo potential. So I really hope that they thought things through when they printed this, because this is a lot of stuff in one card. Pendant of the Earth, which is Priest and Druid again. Discover a minion from your deck, gain armor equal to its cost. So when you discover a minion from your deck, that's drawing it, basically. It's like Shadow Visions, except you don't copy it. I think draw a card, gain armor has been played before. At least it has been in Druid, since they ran the one where you would draw a card and you would gain armor equal to the amount of cards in your hand. So with that justification, it probably means you need to at least get something around like 6 to 8 armor for it to be good. And I think that's not too hard. If you're running a control deck, you could probably put this in there as a means to fight aggro a little bit, but also deck consistency. So you don't have to run like a 1-3 or 1-4 that gets you armor. You just run this, and it gets you a big threat that you can then clone a million times. It seems alright. Alright, Druid Warlock. That's a combo we haven't had. New one. The Druid only card is Crystal Cluster. Gain 3 empty mana crystals. Any that can't fit, summon a 3/7 elemental with taunt. So you're at 6 mana. You gain 3 empty. Gain no elementals, obviously. At 7 mana, 3 empty, gain no elementals. 8 mana, gain 1. 9 mana, gain 2. 10, you gain 3. 10 mana is a really long time. I don't think it's better than Nourish. So I think this is a card that you sometimes randomly generate at the late game, and you get 3/7 elementals with taunt. Otherwise, you just never play it. Gloomstill Guardian. Taunt, choose 1, discard 2 cards, or destroy 1 of your mana crystals. Forge, do neither. And it's a 6/8. That's pretty good. At least for the sake of control, or well, I guess just control. You could maybe forge it in tempo decks, but I think if you're gonna forge, you have to be control. And in control, a 6/8 taunt minion for 4 mana. You spend 2 mana up front to get there. I think I'd be pretty okay with it. And it enables all the weapon stuff. And Druid really does like the weapon. And Warlock doesn't really need it, but it does run it on occasion. So I think it seems alright. You just throw it in there. Because you forge. And it's good. Trog Gem Tosser. 3 mana, 3/2. Finale, deal 1 damage to a random enemy for each of your mana crystals. Okay. So it's like, it's not empty, it's not full. So You just have 10 mana. You play this at your last bit of mana, and then you deal 10 damage to random enemies. If you could discount this to 0, then it would be 20 damage, I would think, where you would finale the original somehow at 3, and then you would play the second one at 0, do 20 damage. I don't think there's any reduced costs at the moment that work that way, which I'm now going to check. Cost. So we're thinking about Druid, which obviously has a bunch of reduced cost potential. Anubarak could do it, I guess. Yeah. If you play it at 8 mana, and then you play